Excellent. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our November PTA meeting. I have pasted in our chat the agenda for this evening, and I am asking all of you who are just joining us now if you could chat in your name. We just need a recording of that for our vote this evening, so we can, have proof that we had a quorum for our meeting this evening. And I also wanted to say hello to Dr. Henderson. She is joining us for this meeting as well. So thank you so much, Dr. Henderson, for joining us. I wasn't sure if you had anything you wanted to say or just to say hello, but just wanted to give you the space.
Just hello, good evening, and that's it.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. So what we wanted to do first, initially we have to pass our minutes. So we are going to pass our October minutes. Jeff, would you mind sharing your screen, or do you want me to share the minutes myself?
Sorry, I had to unmute. I'm having a little technical difficulty pulling it up on my computer.
No worries. I have it, so no worries. Okay. So you all should see the October minutes now. Is that right? Can someone give me a thumbs up or something? Okay, I see you. Thank you. So these are the minutes from our last meeting. If you all wouldn't mind just taking a look, making sure you feel like it's accurate from our discussions. And then I need a motion to pass the meetings.
Okay.
Excellent. And someone to second that motion?
I second.
Thank you very much. The minutes have been passed. Okay. So what I wanted to do initially here is just kind of go through the PTA Equity Project One Fund Initiative just to do another overview. I know we've been blasting out lots of information about this for the last few weeks, but just wanted to give everyone a picture of this and then just have a last, kind of chance to ask questions if folks have questions. The questions themselves, of course, you can go off mute to ask. You may chat, anonymously if you'd like to Matthew, or you can, chat yourself. And we will be sort of manning that as well. But let me just share my screen here so you can see. Okay. So what I wanted to do here is just share with you the PTA Equity Project and sort of what we're focused on. So the goal of PEP is really to ensure that all of the students, right, in District 65 have equitable access to resources. There are many different kinds of resources that our PTAs, deliver in the work that we do, and we want to make sure that that's something that is more equitably shared across our district. So the PTA Equity Project and the committee itself has a combination of folks in it. Some are representatives of every PTA in District 65. There is a representative of a principal, a teacher, PTA council, and then we also have someone from Foundation 65 as well. And then, we really have been working and meeting monthly to talk through different, ideas, plans, strategies, and research, right, over the last few years. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a sense of time frame in the sort of the history of PEP. So everything kind of started in December of 2016. Really this began through Biz, Lindsay Ryan, and Suni Kartha. So both are on the board, the school board, and they wanted to really look at and examine all of the different kinds of capacity for fundraising that the PTAs have, and just examine whether or not there are discrepancies, right, in the access to resources. So the committee began really just in an information sharing kind of way, And through that year in 2017, really started to begin to discuss more deeply what was going on and sort of what PTAs were doing, and a realization around how inequitable things were kind of came about. So in 2018, I started in this group, and there was an idea of really an intervention. Some of this was more towards equality really than equity, but this idea of like, let's begin here. So this PEP intervention was really focused on looking at the different resourced capacity in terms of fundraising, and then giving some money from higher resource schools to lower resource schools. And we began that then. We did a second intervention the next year. And then of course, COVID hit, and we all recognized what difficulties we were in. And so the One Fund kind of came out of the idea of this, of let's create some sort of emergency fund through all of the PTA sharing some of their reserves to give our families some money in this period of time. And that really gave us a little bit more confidence in the One Fund initiative overall, to the place of where we're bringing this to you now. So this is just to show you a table really of what this all kind of looked like initially before that first intervention. So in that kind of 2016, 2017 year, this was what all of the PTA capacity for fundraising looked like. These numbers are basically amounts of dollars per student in the schools. And we are actually very far on the right-hand side, which is the more highly resourced and capacity schools. And as you can see on the left, more of the lower resource schools. And so there was a bit of shift that happened through this first intervention, but we realized that it really wasn't doing enough. It wasn't making enough of an impact on our lower resource schools. And so we started to really think about that idea of equity and equality, right? So this is kind of that, famous image of equality being everyone gets exactly the same regardless of the need, and the equity being everyone gets what they need based on, the resources they need for themselves. So we looked at all different ways that PTAs are using their resources and then recognizing what disparities there are. And so this was just kind of a list of all the different things that PTAs have been doing, in District 65. So what we have come up with at this point is our One Fund initiative. So there is an equality distribution, there is an equity distribution as well. So these two together become the fund itself. And then the other piece that we have just voted on and agreed to is the reserves piece as well. And this is to make sure that there's a little bit of safety net for each of the schools from year to year while we're doing the One Fund initiative. So the idea here is that what we would do is we would continue this year in the way that we have. And then once we finish the school year in 2021, in that April-May framework, whatever excess funds we have, along with reserves that we might also have, would go into the pool. And then the distribution would happen, the equality piece, then the equity piece, and holding on to some reserves, we would have that to keep us through the summer. And then that distribution would come at the end of the summer, early fall. And just, I want to be clear that we are in charge of what we do with our money. So the autonomy is always there. It's just a matter of the distribution shifting just a little bit for us to ensure more equity throughout. So this is just a little bit more information about these distributions. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but just wanted to share this in case this was useful for folks. And then what I wanted to show you in this slide is really the difference. So this is really showing you the difference between that first intervention that we did. So we are this 107, and then in the One Fund, we are at 100. So our money is not shifting that dramatically. What I really want us to focus on though is how dramatically different this is for our schools that are have a lot less capacity for fundraising, and what a huge shift this will be for them. And to me, that's really what we're voting on tonight, is that choice. So timeframe, sort of how this would work. We continue to fundraise, like I said. We will also do fundraising through the PTA Equity Project as well. And then in the summer, distribute that fund. Again, continue fundraising and doing everything we would normally do next year and the year after that. So the idea is that we are doing this for several years, 3 years altogether. Part of the reason for that is so that we do shift leadership right within all the PTAs and have a transition to a new PTA. And also we need to kind of test it out for a period of time to see how this works. So tonight we're voting. So far we've had many schools who have voted yes, which I just wanted to point out. We have Chute, Dawes, Dewey, Nichols, Oakton, Orrington, and Walker who have voted yes. And then as one of your representatives, I will take whatever vote we give tonight and then share that in the next PTA PEP meeting in December. And again, you know, there's still work to be done in PEP for sure, which we will kind of continue doing next year. So I just wanted to see if anyone had any questions. Yes.
I'm going to unmute. I'm raising my hand. I'm trying to figure. It's like, is there a thing that I'm supposed to do? I've been watching my kids. I don't know where the emoji is. First of all, I want to say that I think that this is something that we should do. So my question does not by any means, like, it is not questioning.
Sure.
I want to frame that as that. But I think that you've shown the fundraising capacity of how you're evening that out, but the fundraising capacity of evening out those dollars is in response to needs across the school districts. I mean, across the school district, right? All the schools. So let's say the population of King Arts where the need may grow, right? We may not see that shift from, like, we have this 107 fundraising capacity and then return being 100, right? You're trying to, like, connect the fundraising capacity to the needs of all the schools. Is that correct?
Yes, I think I understand the question. So, and just let me know if I'm not clarifying this. So because the distribution will have an equality component, so everyone gets the same, so we're ensuring that every student, so especially K through 5 or the magnet schools, will have $50 per student. The idea is that there's that piece and then an equity piece. And so that piece is tied to the free and reduced lunch populations at every school. And it's a ratio of the what the percentage is off of the average of District 65. So that's that piece. It, like, let's say our school shifts and there's more need, that equity piece will be larger for us.
Okay, that's just, yeah, it does.
So
that's just the part that I wanted to lift up. It again, it wasn't so much that, like, here we're trying to even things out, but there was, like, that evening piece, but that's where the real equity piece could shift over time and also is then responsive.
Absolutely, exactly. Okay. Yep. Amy, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to build on that. I think Matthew also chatted it in the box. So yeah, like, it also, I mean, I think that starting point, Jody, to your point, is, like, what is every school's capacity to raise funds, right? That's going to be a starting.
Yep.
Each year it's recalibrated because our makeup of our school might change, our fundraising capacities might change. And so there's a formula, which I attended one of the PEP meetings. It's very complex. I do math and I was like, this is complex. But it does take it does take into account all of those shifts. And
Yes.
I mean, I can't even say the amount of work that the PEP committee has done. I mean, countless hours, like it
Yeah.
will blow your mind. But yeah, I mean, that's a fair question, but it does readjust. And I think
It
that
does each year.
marker is there as well to say, you know, formulas are formulas, and we don't know, as we can see with 2020, what the future will hold.
Yeah.
But also they built in that idea to like, let's pause and revisit and make sure we're getting it right. But I mean, there's been what did you show up there? 2016 that started?
Yeah, December 2016.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yep. Thank you, Jody. So if any other questions? Okay, so I
don't have a question, Megan, but I just wanted to just say that from my understanding, and it's very limited, but from talking to you and other folks,
sure.
this is a new-ish model nationwide. I mean, we have a real chance to be a leader
Yes.
in equity as a
Mhm.
town, as a district, and I think that's really meaningful. So that's one of the things I didn't know about how kind of relatively unique it is. So
Yeah.
I just feel like for me, that's meaningful. In case it's meaningful for other people, I wanted them to know that.
Thank you, Matthew. That's absolutely true. And that's part of what has been difficult in trailblazing is there isn't something that we can look at and plan this on, right? We're kind of the first folks doing it, which is exciting.
Well, if not in 2020, when else?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes. So I think we should do the vote. Matthew, I think I need you to run the poll if that's okay. Can you do that from there? Okay.
So I'm going to launch a poll.
Yes.
Megan, just one point of clarity: is
Mhm.
this is an anonymous poll? I assume.
It is. So
Yeah.
it has to be anonymous
Great.
for the PTA.
Great.
So yeah. So
Yeah, you're gonna vote. Are you in favor of
the One Fund
participating?
initiative of us
Yep.
joining.
And so yes, if you are in favor, no, if you are not. Here we go.
All right.
Can people see that?
Yes. Give you all another minute. How's it looking, Matthew, in terms of like people doing it? Do we have enough?
17 of 18 have voted. I don't know if like as the host, I don't see a way to vote, but
Okay.
Megan, I you can't trust exit polls, but I think you might be happy with the results.
Excellent.
if things stand as they are right now.
Excellent. Glad to hear it, Matthew. And I don't know if you can show the results, Matthew, but if you can, that would be great.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna end the poll and we'll see if I can show that. Yes, share results.
Perfect. Well, that is beautiful, everyone. Yay, wonderful. Okay, so we are doing it. We are doing the One Fund. Thank you all for your votes. And oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, I mean, Megan's been working on this for so long. Congratulations, Megan.
Oh,
thank you for your work.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Okay, so I think we are now up to our next focus area here. So we're going to work and talk through the caregiver engagement survey. Our maestro, Jamie Wallace, will be sharing insights from the survey itself. And we will hear from, some of our, team leads on all of these initiatives so that we can kind of talk through some of it with you to know that, we're engaging and doing work from what we've heard from you all. And then ideally what we want to do after that is set up some breakout sessions to start to brainstorm a bit on a couple of ideas as well. I'm sure Jamie will talk us through this. And I just want to, hand it over to you, Jamie. Thank you.
Can everyone see my screen? All right, thanks everyone. All right, we're going to go through these results. I'm going to see if I can minimize. There we go. All right, so today we're just going to talk about the highlights. I'll give you guys a little bit of background on the survey. It's been a while since we've done it. It was in September that we did it. We also will then focus on the caregiver profile, so who participated in the survey. And then we'll talk about communications, the feedback we received from caregivers. We'll talk about events and educational programming needs, resources and services, and then fundraising. So the survey, it was distributed back in September. There's about 3 weeks for everyone to complete the form. We did it in English as well as in Spanish online form. And just so you're aware, only English submissions were submitted. We publicized the survey through the newsletter, King newsletter that Dr. Henderson distributes. We did some direct emailing, as well as posting it on various PTA Facebook pages. I will say we got 110 responses, which is fantastic. We've got a student body of a little less than 500. So that's a really great turnout. And all responses that were tabulated remain anonymous. So when we look at who completed the survey, you're going to see when we look at by grade bands, we had a pretty nice equal distribution. This is students, families who have students that are in K through 2nd, 3rd through 5th, 6th through 8th. We've got families that have a combination of all elementary grades, as well as those that have students in elementary and middle school. We also wanted to look at results by those that were new to King Arts versus those that are returning. And then we do have some families that have students that were returning, but as well as new students, right? So you think about our kindergarten, or you might think also of our middle school transfer students. So all perspectives, we had a really great mix of responses. When we look at employment, and again, if you think about this was conducted in September, right? About 69% of those that responded were full-time or self-employed. And then you can see the distribution for the other areas. We also wanted to look at ethnic racial identity, as well as languages spoken in the household. And you can see here, largely we had African Blacks, 23%, Caucasian white, about 44%, and multi-ethnic racial at 28%. And then the majority of those participating were English language households. All right, so we're going to move into communications. So the first thing to call out is, communications, the way in which people most likely get information about the school is either word of mouth, but really from the principal newsletter. And as you guys know, Dr. Henderson, as soon as she came in, I'm going to say even maybe a week or two before she officially started, she was sending out these newsletters. And you can see that people really tune into those, about 24%. Also, people get news updates from their student teachers directly, which is great to see. And then Facebook group, as well as our newsletters, the PTA newsletters. Now, to be said, we are not doing the official separate newsletters right now. We've been including content in Dr. Henderson's newsletter, as well as doing direct emails. And you guys have probably seen that A to Z Connect as well. But again, you can see the variety of ways in which people are getting information about the school. Also, too, when we think about communication preferences, about 56% said, you know what, we love the email. But I think as technology advances are being made, people are also really receptive to the other modes of communication as well. And so as a PTA group, we've really been thinking about what's the best format for communications related to email versus text messages and also voicemails. And then last piece in the readership and frequency of communications, we also are always cognizant of, as we're putting together newsletters or, we're sending information out, right? Is it the right amount and are people actually reading it? And so we look at, readership, we can see that about 38% are reading the newspaper or reading the newsletters, right? And then we also are seeing that people feel it's just about right, which is great to see. I mean, there's always ways in which we can push out more communication, but we just want to make sure it's relevant and that it's not getting lost in all the emails and social media that might be coming your way. So with that, I do want to pause. I'm going to stop sharing for a second here. And I'm going to turn it over to Matthew. He's got some exciting things to share related to communications and what the PTA is doing to further those efforts.
Thanks so much. So I'm gonna show you a little bit about this new directory application we're using called A to Z Connect. And in so doing, I will also show you the new King Arts website that we're working on. Dr. Henderson graciously agreed to let us post it on the school website, which is great just in terms of having too many disparate places where information is. So we're really trying to simplify that. So I'm gonna, I made a movie about how to use A to Z Connect. So I'm gonna show you real quick. And hopefully you can hear it pretty well. It's called How to Use A to Z Connect. That's the name of the movie we're gonna watch. Can you see that?
If I want to check out the new King Arts PTA directory for parents, caregivers, just head to Google, type in King Arts PTA. Our website, which is new and on the school website, will come up. I'll select it. And then I want to go here to A to Z Connect. Log in to A to Z Connect. So I'll select that. Pop up in another window. I use the email address that I used to log in. And the password I have set. And I can choose King Arts. Here we go. So I can choose a bunch of different things. I can check out the directory here. I can search for people in my daughter's class and find my good friend Jamie Wallace Butcher and her husband Jason Butcher and my daughter's friend since they were two, Evan Grace here. I can also check out the digital backpack to find out what the latest information the PTA wanted to share with me, including this information here, one fund vote tonight. And there'll probably be more things coming, but for now, there you have it. We have a very cool way of looking up anyone in the school and finding out how to get in touch with them. So that's an exciting new thing. And I also, once I logged in to this site for the first time, I might also want to check out the iPhone app. iPhone user, also Android app. So I'll show you what that looks like here in a sec. So now I'm going to take a look at the app on my phone. So I've already downloaded here, A to Z Connect, down here in the corner. And I select that. And you'll see it looks much like the website. So I select King Arts, proceed as regular user. Again, that will only be for people like me who are administrators, but same page pops up. I can go check out the same information, go find out how to contact my friend Jamie, send her an email, shoot her a text message, check in, see how things are going, and the same interface basically applies here. Obviously a little bit of a different layout, but you have all the same content here in the digital backpack flyer situation. And you can also look up anybody you'd like in the school. So I can look up my good friend Betsy, I guess known as Elizabeth Ann in this situation, and find out all kinds of information I already know, but nevertheless, there you have it. All right, so that's A to Z Connect.
No. And so if you haven't signed up for it yet, you've gotten at least 2 emails that say like verify your information. So if you haven't done that yet, you can. And in the last email we sent out about tonight's vote, we actually sent 2 separate emails, one to everybody who had already verified and one to people who hadn't. So that was just a few days ago that we sent that. So in that, there's pretty detailed information. There's 3 different flyers, including one in Spanish, which gives you information on how to verify. Basically, we got information from the district for everyone who agreed to share information with the PTA. We entered all that information in. We might want to make sure it's correct. So we may be using it more in the future for newsletters, perhaps for event signups, like back, when we get back to being in the same space and we can, actually share information or share events together. So like maybe Pancake Breakfast 2022, there'll be like a sign up in A to Z Connect. We'll see. So we're just trying to figure out what it can do, but we're excited about it and we think it's going to be much better, more streamlined communication. You'll be able to opt into text messages, that kind of stuff. So anyway, happy to answer any questions now or later, whenever Jamie says is the right time.
All right, thank you, Matthew. Does anyone have questions for Matthew on A to Z Connect? Scanning here, okay. Well, first of all, thank you, Matthew. I mean, you got this up and running starting in the summer, right? Meeting with schools to figure out what's the best way to get this loaded. And we know our families really want to connect with one another, right? In a more easy, user-friendly experience and way. And so we're hopeful that this will help. And it's totally in line with the feedback that we got from the Caregiver survey. All right, so now I'm going to try to share again. I think you're going to have to give me sharing rights, maybe Matthew or Megan.
Were those stripped from you or no?
Yeah, I just requested it back.
Oh, that's no good. Hold on one sec.
Okay.
Hopefully that works. You're a co-host now, Jamie. Does that work?
It sure does. Awesome.
Right on.
You're tech savvy for sure. Love it. Okay. So now we're going to move on to events and educational programming. So we asked caregivers, what topics would you like presented by an expert at future King Arts PTA meetings? And you can see the top ranking topic areas really dealt around racial equity and inclusion at King Arts. Also the social emotional needs of our students and state of the school with the principal. Some good news is that when we saw these results, and Kristen White, who's one of the co-vice presidents, she brought in a phenomenal speaker in October that really talked around ideas of science for student depression, anxiety, and so forth. Sent us some materials. We've got that session recorded. So for caregivers or teachers or staff who missed that, you can download that. But it really hit on a lot of those topic areas. Also, we kicked off the school year with Dr. Henderson and AP Callaway, giving us kind of the state of the school. And they also agreed to come back at the end of each of the trimesters to continue to give us those updates in terms of how the school is progressing, not just from an academic, but also from the social and emotional learning space that our SIT team is working on. And so that's great. So we're already kind of activating on those things. As you look at further down the list, we still have many topics. Some of them are unique. Some of them actually are co-related. And so we've got a community and engagement team 5 family members, and we're our caregivers, and we're also open to anyone else obviously wanting to join this group. But we're looking at these topics and we're thinking about what other kind of great, whether it's a PTA sponsored expert coming to visit us at a meeting, whether it is workshops, parent support groups. We're going to have a breakout session that we're going to delve a little bit deeper into some of these areas and ideas that we have. But we really want to hopefully bring this together for the community, because especially when we look at this, ensuring racial equity and inclusion, I think our PEP Fund vote today really speaks to our commitment as a community and where we're at. And so, this is an area not just with a speaker, but also more active activities and events and things, and just bringing about awareness of how we can continue to create this environment within our school. Also, too, what rang loud and clear, not just in the communications section or even the events and resources area, but also the ability for families to engage with one another, especially for their students. And so this was an idea that Megan had brought forth in terms of social meetups, right? So, and this obviously is before some of the slower lockdowns that are happening right now, but what is the capacity or interest for connecting people, whether virtually or socially distanced, within their ward? And so you can see here, about 59% said yes, they'd be willing to kind of do a meetup in the area in which they live. Being a magnet school, we're obviously across the Evanston and parts of Skokie area. And so coming together with your neighbors, so to speak, but yet still having your community connection, this was the interest level. So this is something too that we can continue to consider as we move forward in the school year and in the following years. And then finally, always wanting to know, everyone's kind of pressed for time, right? So are we having the right number of events, PTA events? And you can see here about 75% said, just about right. When we look at too many versus not enough, I will tell you that the ones that are saying, not enough tends to be kind of our newer families that are new to King Arts and are looking for opportunities to meet other families, right? Have their students meet new friends, new peers. And those that are saying it's a little bit too much, too many, it's typically driven from our middle school families who are, transitioning, they're just in a different place with their students. But overall, again, I think we're hitting on just right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause again. Kristen White, she's kind of leading up. She is leading up the community engagement team, and she's got some exciting updates to share.
Great. Do you want me to show that chart, Jamie?
Yeah, up to you. However you want.
Okay.
Want
Okay, I forgot. I thought I was like, sorry, I was not totally prepared, y'all. Let me make sure I have it up. Hold on one second. So what I did is I went through the responses to the survey around programming. And can I have screen sharing permissions? Let's see. I'm going to try and share. There we go. Okay. So Jamie, are we breaking out into the small groups after this?
We're going to have an update from Charlotte and Jody, and then we'll break out.
Okay, so in my small group, what we're going to do is look at this chart. So what I did is I combined the responses for must have and nice to have to identify the preferences of parents or caregivers in the school, along with, so we have, for each month, we have the monthly meeting, who would step up and help coordinate that. CB stands for a community building event. So one of the things we've talked about a lot this year is wanting just to create really fun opportunities for families to connect remotely. So we invited families to share cultural events they might want to organize or other events in months where there are significant cultural celebrations going on. And then the other is the interest in ward meetings. So we're going to kind of dig into what people's feedback is on this and who might be interested in helping get those coordinated. That's it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. All right, so the next area is resources and services. So here we're asked, what are some resources or services you need access to? And you can see, again, social and community events ranked #1. Also, clinical counseling for students and families. Our grocery and resource program also rated among the top 5. And then the need for household goods and childcare after school. We also asked families, what other resources and ideas that they had. And some of the suggestions were around kind of book donations, which I know that our school librarian and Megan have been working on and participating in a district-wide effort there. And we're going to pause here and have Charlotte kind of give us an update on the grocery resource program.
Hi, everybody. Just a quick kind of update, recap of where we started and where we are now with the grocery and resource program. For the past couple of years, the PTA has been designating about $250 to $350 a month, and we've been giving one really full bag of groceries to 13 to 18 families. Enter 2020, and that number has skyrocketed. We're up to 32 families. And our PTA wonderfully rose to the challenge and has put $1,200 for the school year, which I forgot to do the math as to what that looks like per school month, because Jamie reminded me that the school year is not 12 months long, even though it sometimes feels that way to me. So for September and October, we were able to give out gift cards to families because we were trying to figure out how to do more with everything else going on. And so for November, we have a team of people, of families, King Arts family people who are working together. And if you'd like to be part of the conversation, please email the PTA and I'll add you to our next meeting round of emails. I think we don't need to, hopefully we don't need to meet not in person, but even meet on Zoom, but you can be part of the conversation on email. This November, we got together and filled up 30 bags of groceries for the 30 families, plus a big thing of toilet paper and a thing of Tide detergent. And it took the whole village. We had the families that are on this committee doing this. We met at the school parking lot. We socially distanced, spread out, and filled up all these bags. And then 3 of us drove the bags home for the night because the school wasn't open on the weekend. And then we drove back to the school. And Dr. Henderson had wonderfully worked with Miss Fortune and Mr. Washington to wait for us. And we were able to bring all the grocery bags into the school, and then Miss Fortune and the lovely ladies working in the cafeteria on Mondays right now for when you can come pick up lunches, passed out the bags to the families who have kind of registered with our social workers. And so that was last Monday. We tried doing it around the 3rd week of the month. And so last Monday, some of the families were able to pick up. Today, some more of the families picked up, and now we picked up the food that hadn't been picked up yet, and we're going to try to figure out how that works from here on out. So it was not perfect this month, and it was not easy, but it definitely felt like we were getting more into the hands of our families who need that than we were able to with the gift cards. At least that's how it felt to me. So, so if you'd like to be part of the conversation about how to make this bigger and better, or at least better first, please let me know in the chat or let the PTA email know, and you can be part of it. I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Henderson because she really rallied the troops at the school, which was really, really important and helpful and difficult right now. And so then one of the other responsibilities of the grocery and resource program in the past couple of years has been working with families in need during the holidays. And we've been able to do a really nice program the past couple of years where we, I'm going to put something in the chat right now, where we've worked with the social workers to kind of put together wish lists for families in need at our school. And then we had one company that had a King Arts parent who took the lion's share of those names. Thank you, Dr. Henderson, that's true. We also had some gift cards that went out with the groceries this month too, because we had leftover gift cards. So that was an extra bonus for this month. So in the past, we've had these kind of wish lists and families have bought gifts that for families. We have talked about it. We have tried to figure out how to do that in the COVID world. We've talked with the social workers. we just, it just doesn't seem to make any sense this year for us to try to figure out how to make that work. So I just shared a link in the chat box. We are really urging all King Arts families who need extra assistance during the holidays to please sign up for the mayor's initiative, and all King Arts families who are able to support and donate during the holidays to please donate to the mayor's holiday initiative. You can drop off toys at lots of places throughout the city, books, food, all of it, PJs, I think. I put the link in there, sent it to the page. Donations have to be there by December 11th. If you are a family, or if you know a family who could use to participate on the receiving end, that needs to be in by the 14th, I believe it is. And then we're also working with Back on Their Feet to line up donations with families directly with Back on Their Feet as well. So we're really hoping our families who are in need during the holidays are going to get lots of love, but it's just going to be in a different form than past years. So we really, really encourage everybody to donate to the mayor's initiative. If you are connected already with Back on Their Feet, please do that as well. But hopefully that kind of closes that loop. So that's where we are. And like I said, if you'd like more information about whatever our December plan is, because I have no idea what it's going to look like right now, and even if I did, it'd probably change 3 or 4 more times, please let me know.
Thank you, Charlotte. And thank you for the grocery resource program, everything that the team is doing. Getting choked up because,
Thank you for getting it into such a good place, Jamie. You ran it the past couple of years.
So, thank you. All right, going back, we're almost there, guys.
Jamie, I had one, I know there was a question from Dr. Henderson. I just wanted to make sure we touched on this. And she was asking about, oh, you answered in the chat. I'm so sorry. The social and community events is for both caregivers and students. Never mind, apologies.
To that point, I want to make sure that we're thinking outside of the box at the school level. I know families expressing at maybe the first family meeting that we had in September that they're not really interested in more Zoom opportunities. And so, you know, we're again trying to navigate the COVID speed bumps, and we want to make sure that everyone is safe. And so I'll see if some of our teachers can kind of put together some creative ideas for socialization to happen. I know that conversation is also happening potentially with room parents as well. So
thank you.
Okay, which brings us right into fundraising. All right, so this year we added questions around our fundraising capacity and caregivers' interest in whether they wanted to have an automatic recurring monetary donation monthly or annually. And what we found is while we do have some families open to doing monthly donations, we had more families opting in for kind of their annual gift giving. I think that we were also excited to see that, you know what, people were willing to donate all types of things, whether, you know, if you cannot commit right now to an ongoing donation, we totally understand. But the fact that we do have a span of, you know, whether it's less than 25 to 50 and so forth, we do have a very giving community. And when we look at the types of events or educational programming that would help to encourage donations, having a guest speaker, entertainment, community building event, you can see once again that ranks among the top 2, the grocery resource program, and also giving clothing, right? Those were all areas in which community was open to giving. I think the other thing too is that, you know, when we look at kind of these scores, it really, I think, indicates that the community piece and actually knowing what you're giving to does make a difference when people are donating, right? So I know I'm going to pass it over here to Jody. Jody's going to talk a little bit more about what we have in store for fundraising and some of her ideas around how do we bring the community together.
Right. So the whole idea about fundraising is connecting the dots, right? We have identified several of the needs, and we also have identified that we have a very generous, interested, and engaged community. So how do we connect those dots? With so many pieces of like, I want to give annually and I want to give monthly. I want to give $25, I want to give $100. We've got the full range, which means we need to put in a flexible and nimble way to meet our community where they are, even when it comes to philanthropy. I'm going to share my screen now. And I'm going to take you back to 2019 and just not do a video, but just walk you through things. So I'm not as cool as Matthew, but I can take it. So you've all figured out how to Google, and you're like, how should I make this gift? And I don't know if you've all noticed, like, oh, well, what is this over here? Let's check this all out. Oh, maybe. Can I click it? There we go. So we started to engage a new fundraising platform. And at the last meeting, Jason had shared what some of the needs of our budget items were. And so we like wrapped all that up and said, here's what the PTA needs across the year to make things happen. So the biggest item, Charlotte, as you pointed out, it was now we've grown that monthly need for a grocery resource program from about $250 a month to now we're looking at $12,000 over the school year, which is, and I did math quick, I used a calculator, but still $1,333. So right, like we're looking at what like that kind of like monthly need is. And so we kind of have like put together all of those pieces of our fundraising website. So there's a text to give option that we will be sending out. We can post things on social, this link, but we really wanted to make sure it was very clear that like, here's what the PTA fundraises for. We don't fundraise for the sake of fundraising. We fundraise for the sake of meeting the needs of our community. So we put all of those pieces together, right? Oh, there's a fund for the holidays for the teachers and the grocery resource program, right? And you're like, huh, how do I get into this? Let's make a gift right now. It's so breezy and simple. It's pretty user friendly that if you want to make your $5 donation, you know, in our last platform, there were like set increments. There's a lot of flexibility here so that whatever someone can give, and I believe in the human condition that we are generous people and we are about like, I give what I can when I can stretch and give to another person, but definitely this like crowd funding component, we are seeing our community light up with gifts of $50, $25. So you can make a one-time gift or super easy to make a monthly donation. Oh, and I can allocate it. I'm going to allocate it to specific funds. Let me show you. I want to go 50-50, but right now, actually, I'd like to give it all to the grocery resource program. It's funny, I tested this so that, you know, it's like, oh, it's being recorded. Everyone likes sharing all my address, but Matthew also told everyone how we can all get a hold of each other. So we all have no need in here, but what I couldn't get around was we have to put in a real cell phone number. Also, giving is very personal, right? Money, relationships, our school is very personal. So you decide if you want to make your dollar amount out there. If you like, you know, we're going to keep it like this family gift, but we want everyone to know that like my $5 is out there. And we want to do that. And you can also do a tribute. Oh, it should be. I want to make it. If you want to be like, yes, this is for Mr. Washington, because we also know he is the unsung hero of King Arts for so many of us. There's also the option here that if you want to leave your gift as it is, or you want to cover the processing fee, we can do all those things. So that is, and then you do this, boom, you submit it, and you can even leave like a note, because when you go back to the campaign page, you can even see over here, right? We've got some people who said, that they're so excited to support this organization. We've got a lot of anonymous but early users at the beginning of this who gave us a little bit of testing that we did. So I know we're all in the like Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Shop Local Saturday, something happens on Sunday, Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday. Now is the time that you can be thinking about how King Arts fits into your giving plans. I think that's it. When we do our breakouts, we're going to talk about like other mechanisms to drive the fundraising besides this very specific like ask piece of it. There we go.
Thank you, Jody. I love the site. So user-friendly. Any questions for Jody on the site or the fundraising before we head into our breakout sessions? Okay. Oops. All right, so brainstorming time. So we're going to have 3 different breakout rooms. The first one is on cultural celebrations and community events. So how do we bring the community together in fun, safe, and engaging ways? Kristen White's going to lead that group. Our second breakout room is going to be parent support network. So how do we strengthen the parent community and better support one another, just as an example. So Megan Shea is going to lead that breakout session. And then as Jody mentioned, fundraising, what are creative ways we can raise donations to meet our fundraising goals? So those are the 3 different breakout sessions. I don't know, Megan, did you want to kind of talk about how people self-select, how they get into each of those sessions?
Yes, so Matthew is the master of all of this. So he is going to be available to get us set up so that everyone can choose which breakout room they would like to go to.
So they'll be labeled, and they are literally the same label. So room 1 is cultural celebrations community, 2, 3, and so on. They have names. I'm going to open them now. If you have a recent version of Zoom, you'll be able to select which room you want to go to. But if you don't, like you don't have a select thing, that's all good. Just let me know what room you want to go to, and I will place you in that room. All right. So here we go. I'm going to open the rooms. This is so exciting.
Okay, great. And so what we'll do, because we're right now kind of at the top of the hour, what we'll do is we'll go in there. What do you guys think? We need what, 15 minutes, 20 minutes? How much time when should we reconvene?
I mean, we do have the time, so let's do the 15, and we can then come back and share out a little bit if we want.
Great. All right. So I'm back about 8:17.
Yeah, and we'll announce that. And feel free to hit me up in chat if you want to, or just turn your mic on and I'll assign you to a room. A lot of people rolling with the new versions of the apps.
Is the screen supposed to pop up or?
Yeah, you may have an older version. Is it Katya?
Yep.
Yeah. Which room would you like to go to? I can assign you.
The parent support network.
And I need to be there too, Matthew, and I'm not getting that. So sorry.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Why mess with a working app version? Krista or Risha, want me to hook you up? Or Christy,
Can you put me in 2, please, Matthew?
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you.
Hi, I must be old school.
That's right. For life. Which room would you like me to put you in?
The parent number 2, I think.
You got it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jeff, you have a request? You gonna hang out here? What do you want to do?
I was gonna join fundraising.
Cool.
Matthew, I'll go to room number 1.
You got it. I never know what the etiquette is when like the breakout rooms close and they says there's 60 seconds. Like, are you supposed to leave as soon as possible or try to like go all the way through to the end of the 60 seconds?
You could be like my students and just never come back because
There you go.
you've left the area.
I feel like it's like a 60-second warning. Like if you're in the middle of something, wrap it up. If you're not, head back.
All right, I think we got the majority of folks back. Let me just do a quick little look here. We might have lost the fundraising group.
Oh no.
They're coming back. They're
coming
probably
back.
using all their time. We had some good ideas. We're going to be rich.
Wow, awesome.
Awesome.
I have no idea.
So hey, why don't we do this while we're waiting for them to come back? Kristen, you want to give a little, here they are. I see them coming back now.
Yay.
Yeah, we had a nice discussion. We got through it in time. I think it was my first Zoom breakout that we were done with like 2 minutes left. We went through the monthly meeting events and the community building events, and we talked about each of them and just got feedback. Does that make sense? Are there people you know of, or are you interested in helping organize that? So we've got a couple new volunteers on some of the events. Everyone liked the lineup. There are a couple that stood out that they were really excited about, and they also thought, I think, if I'm mischaracterizing, that people all agreed that creating just some fun experiences for families and building more touch points for families so that when we come back in person, hopefully we'll have an even bigger crew of people who want to help organize in-person things. So it was good. I've got a couple names. I'll be following up, and we'll bring this schedule to the PTA leadership team just to sort of final thumbs up, and then we'll move forward and reaching out and getting all those little pieces rolling.
That's awesome. I'm excited. That's great. Which segues into the Parent Support Network. Megan, you want to give an update?
Sure, absolutely. So we discussed several things really around, what kind of time frame do we think we need in terms of parent check-ins. And I would say the majority in our group talked about something that was more bi-weekly. So it is maybe more than once a month, but you kind of have the option, if it's too much that week, there's another option that month for you to check in. And we talked a little bit too about sort of how to organize these kinds of check-ins. And so what we really thought might be best to begin with is really this idea of, K through second grade. So it's kind of in bands, 3rd through 5th, and then middle school. And that way we have a larger group. We can see, kind of what the interest is. If there is interest specifically by grade, we can do breakouts, for those. And Jamie had a wonderful idea too of because we have a lot of families who have more than one child in different bands. So making sure we're doing these on separate days, right? And sort of coordinating so it's not all at one time. And then the other piece that we talked a little bit about was this idea of doing neighbor check-ins. So it's this idea of, as King Arts, we have our neighbors, our family, our school community. We're not always, right next to each other, but this would be a way in which we could check in with folks over the phone. Not every single week, of course, which we joked about, but more so something that is, maybe once a year or twice a year, checking in with folks. There was a little more comfort level maybe if we did something where we prepared ahead and sort of set up time with folks who wanted to chat, but just to really, like you would with your neighbor, check in with them, same kind of idea. So wanted to see too from the larger group if that was something that sounded interesting to you, something we should develop further, or kind of what your thoughts are. Anyone have an idea, or yes or no, or?
Got a crowd of introverts, Megan.
I know, I understand. Okay, thank you.
All right, and last but certainly not least, the fundraising group. Let's hear from you guys.
So similar, right? Like it is connection. if people spend their time with you, then they are inclined to spend their money and invest. And both of those things have to work together. So even as we were kind of looking, right, at some of those results about like fundraising around some guest speakers and different kinds of events, it kind of gave us pause, like, let's make sure that we check in with the community building events as well, right? We don't need to double down on several kinds of events, but maybe it's like incorporating a pay what you can or a donation at the end of a community building event, because those events aren't necessarily focused on the fundraising, but if in that space people are feeling good and connected and then are interested, we can kind of connect those dots. Another piece about like purely fundraising events, what was super interesting around Step Up is that it was a peer-to-peer fundraising opportunity, which means your kids and classrooms and teachers had a little bit of that friendly competition. And I want to give a shout out to Christy Carey, right? Man, she never worked those emojis so hard. And that was like the currency that everyone was like, I just got to ask grandma for something because I'm going to get that poop emoji and hang my keys on it. I'm like, you don't have keys, but okay. So like, how do we take all the good parts of that? Well, again, since we made this shift to the, like, again, that new mechanism for fundraising, there's a peer-to-peer opportunity. So we can set it up that if it's the kindergarten, first grade, second grade, right? And then how do we do that in this virtual space? Creating the Spotify playlist, donations of a certain level, it then becomes a dance challenge to Mrs. Young to do her 2-minute performance at Step Up, so that we have our stepping it up at home type event. Like let's take that peer-to-peer fundraising piece and also that like sense of community where, Matthew, we drafted him to be the VJ so that he's like dropping breakout rooms in grades, and then all of a sudden here comes Dr. Henderson with the Zoom bomb dance break, right? So it's like using the technology that we have, and then also the opportunity, like, let's record that video. Well, we do want to try and get it like at a moment in time. If for some reason the Wickersheimer family got out of town, very unlikely, right, that we would record our video and then like that could be a part of the event as well, right? So again, looking for those ways to meet people where they are, but we focus around that peer-to-peer fundraising and get those kids involved, and then like you can access your families outside of town. The other event that was very popular last year was the Parents' Night Out, and it wasn't a silent auction, and it wasn't me standing behind the microphone asking people to give. It was the fact that the parents got to be in community with each other. We had a little bit of adult time, and that, quite honestly, is why we raised $10,000 on that last Saturday night before we shut down the world. I mean, that's how you throw a great fundraiser, let's be honest, King Arts. And so how do we do that parent game night, support some of our local businesses, do that like $50 package, sponsor other families, you get your temperance growler dropped off at your front door, and then you do your Pictionary type thing, right? So where do we have our adults and put some fundraising around that as well? Other things like how do we do this like passive slow drip of donations as well? Let's make sure we got our Amazon Smile account set up, remind people that their employers can do matching gifts. From my experience, matching gifts are shrinking very quickly unless they're going to education. So we really have an opportunity to lift up supporting that way. And then there was one more, there's another option through the member hub where you can create this like give back program. And so that's also maybe an opportunity for us to kind of mimic that restaurant night opportunity where if people were supporting local businesses and we did this give back partnership, that again, a portion of those proceeds, it didn't have to be one night, you don't have to take in a coupon, but it was kind of like an ongoing relationship that if everyone started just like ordering takeout from Cozy Noodles, that there would be like this slow drip of support to King Arts. So, right, we're thinking about those very event-focused things that are big scale, and then kind of like the passive fundraising as well as the direct ask, right? We started with the direct ask, we've got some events, and then those passive fundraising pieces. There we go.
I'd like to sign up for whatever gets temperance delivered to my door, Jody. Whatever that fundraiser is, I will sign up for that one.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we got our first event.
Excellent. Any questions? Anything else? I know we're at time. Just wanted to open the floor in case there were. All right, Jamie, thank you so much for moving us through all of that and all of the work you've done. Thank you, leads, for all of these groups and all of the volunteers. And everyone who's here tonight, I'm so grateful for your voice. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. It's so helpful to us. And it's so wonderful to see your faces. So thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening. And yeah, we're moving along with One Fund. I'm super excited about it. Thanks very much, everybody. Yay! And we will now conclude our meeting. So thank you.
Hi, thank you. Great meeting.
Good night,
Goodbye.
everyone.
Good night. Thank you. Take care.
You'd have Megan, you should have there should be a video of you, like slow-mo video to U2's song One, that you're just like,